So, welcome to the session. We are starting a new book. I mean, the book is not new, but our book study is new. We are starting on Master's book, The Existence of God is Self-Evident. So, what I have with me is the second edition. I don't know if you have which edition you have. You will find it, where the title is second edition or whichever edition you have. Does anybody have the third edition by any chance? I've been trying to get the third edition. It's been out for some time. So a little bit about this book. This book is actually originally this was a part or a portion of Master Choa's autobiography. Master Choa has written an autobiography, The Origin of Modern Pranic Healing and Arhatic Yoga. So this book, what we are reading in this book was actually a part of that book. जो मास्टर की ऑटोबायोग्राफी है उसका हिस्सा था ये. And then Master decided to take that part out, and it is still there in the autobiography, but he has also created a book separately. So this is a great gift that he left for us, because as we will study, we will see why this is such a great gift. All right. So I'll come to the acknowledgements. Let us also acknowledge to divine providence, whose blessings make everything possible. To my Sadguru, of course, we are talking about Master's Sadguru. To my Sadguru, Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, his disciples, especially Chauhan Jig Mailing, spiritual teachers and spiritual beings, for their patience, instructions, and nurturing. To three remarkable friends, friends of Master Choa, Mang Debon, Mang Mike, Mang Nenet, for their help and contribution. So it would be good to study the autobiography, because in that Master has explained the role of Chauhan Jig Mailing, or he's talked about who Chauhan Jig Mailing is, and he has also explained the role that was played by these three friends. And I think it's good to know that. So I'll just share a little text from that book. Just give me a moment. So this is one part where Master talks about, he says that this book, later Master will tell us, is his spiritual thesis. So he explains that his spiritual thesis is the spiritual technology or applied inner sciences. Now, Master's advisor is his Sadguru, Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, and one of the direct disciples of Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, who we also know as Lord Padmasambhava, one of his senior disciples is Chauhan Jig Mailing. Yeah, the pa at the end is for respect. जैसे हम इंडिया में जी बोलते हैं ना, like, we'll say Lakshmi ji or Shobha ji. So, the ji is a suffix for showing respect. So the pa at the end is also used for showing respect. And like we say Shriman or Shri so and so. So in the Philippines, apparently they use the word Mang. So when it says Mang Debon and Mang Nenet and Mang Mike, they were senior people or senior practitioners, and out of respect to them, Master has used the word Mang. It's like Mr. or respected sir, something like that. So the point is, we must, whenever you get the time, please read the autobiography of Master Choa. Okay, next page. All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them. Okay, very well said. This is originally said by Galileo Galilei. On the next page, dedication to the people of the world. May this book bring light and peace throughout the entire earth. So our homage to our Guruji comes when we read his books, and we read them with respect, we read them with attention, with concentration, and we make an effort to understand what Guruji is trying to teach to us. All right. So next is the table of contents. Now the chapter 1, path of knowledge and understanding. Shall we dive into that? Yoga means spiritual oneness. What is spiritual oneness? Spiritual oneness means the incarnated soul is achieving a higher degree of oneness with the higher soul and a certain degree of oneness with God and oneness with all. Let me warn you, this book is not like for example, Master's other books, the Ancient Science and Art of Modern Pranic Healing, or Advanced Pranic Healing, and so on. Those are books you can read at a stretch. You can read 50 pages, 100 pages at a stretch. This book, my suggestion is, don't try to do that. Mental congestion may happen, right? This is kind of dense and profound. So isko thoda thoda padhenge, small bits, and we will try to discuss them. So let's discuss the first paragraph. Yoga. Now, commonly, by yoga we mean postural yoga, the yoga of exercises and the asanas and so on. Now, when Master is saying yoga here, he means yoga, the word yoga in its purest sense. And he explains here, what does he mean by that? Spiritual oneness. And then he explains, what does it mean to say spiritual oneness? You see, do you understand the word spiritual? It's a word that is commonly used. What does it mean to say spiritual? So when we say spiritual, one thing we are saying is it is not material, or it is not related to the material world. जो हमारी जो 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 स्थूल जो वास्तविकता है उससे फर्क है. Yes, and then it is related to the spirit. So when we say spirit, what does it mean? It means, one thing it means is the soul. The other thing it can mean is God. In Christianity, these are words coming from English. English, these terms are very closely aligned with the Christian, knowledge base. So Christianity mein, when they say the Holy Spirit, for example, they can mean God or they can mean the soul. So what is spiritual oneness? Spiritual oneness, then Master explains, when the incarnated soul. I hope we understand incarnated soul from the we come from God. We meaning the true us comes from God. So एक अंश नीचे उतरता है और वो डिवाइन स्पार्क उसको बोलते हैं, फिर वो नीचे उतरता है, उसको हम हायर सोल बोलते हैं, फिर वो नीचे उतरता है. नाउ व्हेन वी से नीचे उतरता है, इट मींस इनटू डेंस मैटर. We, the true us, is pure energy with consciousness. Later, Master will talk about it. I'm just giving you like a background to hopefully understand what we are talking about here. So when this soul descends, one part of the soul takes up the bodies, like my physical body, my emotional body, my mental body. So that part is what we say has incarnated. Incarnated मतलब carnal से मतलब जो नश्वर होता है, things that are temporary, that are subject to destruction. So when we say carnal, it means of the body. So incarnated would mean taking up bodies. समझ रहे हैं आप? So the incarnated soul, that part or that portion of the higher soul that has descended into matter sufficiently so as to be able to take, to get attached to the physical body, the emotional body, and so on. That is the incarnated soul. So that incarnated soul is achieving a higher degree of oneness. Now, why do we say higher? I mean, why don't we just say it is achieving oneness? You see, this is one of the important teachings Master has given. Master Choa ने ये एक बड़ी महत्वपूर्ण बात समझाई है कि it is not like a switch which is either off or on. समझ रहे हैं आप? So when he says oneness, so oneness is not just no oneness and oneness. It's not just two states, but it is a sliding scale. Less oneness, more oneness. You know? So that is, Master says, spiritual oneness means that the incarnated soul the degree of oneness with the higher soul, degree of oneness with God is increasing. It is becoming more. And when one of the other secrets or one of the other pieces of wisdom master is given is, once your this degree of oneness goes up, you also start experiencing oneness with all. This sense of separation, it starts to reduce, it starts to sort of disintegrate. If you, for this, the best thing to study, देखिए, स्टडी का मतलब है कि हम ये बुक तो पढ़ते हैं, यू आर लिसनिंग, वी आर डिस्कसिंग दिस हियर, but follow it up with what should I say, reference books. Now the reference book for what we have talked about in the first paragraph is the Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul book. That is where master has explained this entire framework. One bit of advice: this book, test the power of this book. How do you test the power of this book? You find somebody in your family, anybody, doesn't have to be interested in pranic healing, maybe actually anti pranic healing. I'm sure somebody in your family says, this is what rubbish, why are you wasting your time, and all this is useless. So find somebody who is not into pranic healing, scan that person's inner aura, scan that person's crown chakra, scan the spiritual cord, scan the spiritual energy or energy of the soul energy in that person's aura. Then give that person this book. Just explain, look, this is just an experiment. उसको बोलिए कि ये किताब को जरा, just take it and just flip the pages. Let that person take a minute or two in flipping the pages. And then you scan again. You scan again the inner aura, you scan the spiritual cord, scan the crown chakra, scan the spiritual energy in the aura. Please do this. This is like homework I'm giving you. Please definitely do this. You see, it is one thing for me to tell you, oh, how good this book is and why master has, his big gift to us and so on. It is another thing altogether if you validate for yourself. उसका कोई बराबरी नहीं है. When you do that experiment, it goes deep into you, and then you will never forget that. All right, let's move on. There are many paths to achieving illumination and spiritual oneness. One of the paths is the yoga of knowledge and understanding. This is called Jnana Yoga or Gnana Yoga. This path is the easiest path for those who are mentally developed. By reading this book just once, the spiritual cord will become much bigger. There will be a greater downpour of spiritual energy. The crown chakra and all of the other chakras will become bigger. These effects are temporary. It is necessary to repeatedly read this book over and over again. A person can rapidly achieve illumination and divine oneness within a short period of time. The time factor may vary from several years to a lifetime. One lifetime is still considered short because other yogis take many incarnations just to achieve this state. So, थोड़ा लंबा paragraph है. Let's break it down. You see, this is what we try to do in the book study. Master's knowledge, wisdom is very dense, or not dense, but very compressed. He packs in a lot of wisdom in a few words. So what we try to do is we try to unpack it, try to get to the sort of unravel some of the layers. Of course, I have my own limitations, but the point is that if I can get you started, you can keep making the effort to do the unraveling yourself. So first thing that master says in the sutra is that there are many paths to achieving illumination and spiritual oneness. Now, these are what we know as the different schools of yoga, not schools as in, X is cool and Y. What I mean is, like, there is Karma Yoga, there is Bhakti Yoga, there is Raj Yoga, and so on and so forth, Kundalini Yoga, and so on. Now, what are these? These are many paths. Think of a hill. There is the top of the hill. We all want to get there, but there can be many paths to getting to the top of the hill. They are like, so हमारे जीवन का उद्देश्य है ऊपर पहुंचना, एंड उसके लिए बहुत सारे रास्ते हम अडॉप्ट कर सकते हैं. एंड दीज आर द डिफरेंट schools of yoga or different types of yoga that we are aware of. Now, Master says one of these paths is the yoga of knowledge and understanding. This is called Gyan Yoga. This path is the easiest for those who are mentally developed. Now, I think we are all, humans. We all have a mind. It may be more developed or less developed. I think that we should leave to other people to judge. Whether person X's mind is more developed or less developed. Let us not worry about that. Let us consider we are sufficiently, if Master has given us this teaching, we are sufficiently developed. We are in a position to apply our mind and understand this. So we should have no doubt about this. Yes, some of us, we may think, yeah, it's a little difficult. It's a challenge. But let me tell you one thing. You see, you have taken birth. So इस बर्थ में आपको कई सारी देर आर मेनी थिंग्स यू हैव टू अकम्प्लिश. कई चीजें आपने अचीव करनी है. करेक्ट? दोज आर योर गोल्स फॉर दिस लाइफ. नाउ द थिंग्स दैट कम इजी टू यू, those are things that in previous lifetimes you have already developed those abilities. So really one should focus more or make a greater effort at things that are not so easy. Are you getting my point? जो काम हम आसानी से कर पाते हैं उसमें अब हम कुछ ज्यादा नहीं सीख रहे हैं. हमारा उद्देश्य है सीखना. सो वी हैव टू कमिट आवरसेल्व्स टू थिंग्स दैट आर नॉट सो इजी फॉर अस. So if, for example, you find study dull and boring, or it's hard work, well, it just means that we need to make a greater effort. All right. So, Master says the easiest path for those who are mentally developed. But let that just be a little wisdom from Master, but let it not stop us from practicing this. By reading, now very important, please pay attention. By reading this book just once, the spiritual cord will become much bigger. There will be a greater downpour of spiritual energy. The crown chakra and all of the other chakras will become bigger. These effects are temporary. It is necessary to repeatedly read this book over and over again. So now it's coming down to what is the importance, what is the power of this book. Can you imagine, by reading this, your spiritual cord can increase just by reading this book. So at the end of our session today, my request is scan your spiritual cord before we started. And scan again, and so you know how to do that, right? You say my spiritual cord at 5:55, or whatever the time in your area is. My spiritual cord before the session started, and my spiritual cord right now. See if there is a difference. But then Master says these effects are temporary. Don't, just by reading it once, you are not going to attain moksha. So what do you have to do? You have to repeatedly read this book over and over again. Bar padna. You see, as humans, our ability to understand is limited. There are studies, it is proven that when you read something or listen to something for the first time, at best, you can only absorb about so much percent, which there's some number people give. I don't want to give you a number because I haven't checked this, but I think it is something like 40, 50%, something like that. Then the second time you read it, there is something more. Then again, next time, something more. So you have to keep doing it. है ना, बार बार पढ़ना है. Now I don't recommend that you start from the beginning, go to the end and start again. That may become a little monotonous, but just decide that maybe once a year you will come back to this book, or however you would like to do this. uh, Now next part is super I think inspiring, because the master is saying that just by reading this book you can attain illumination. What is the meaning of illumination? Why does master say illumination? Now what I think he's talking about is attaining oneness with the higher soul. What he's talking about is attaining moksha, or going becoming an arhat or something like that. But why does he say achieve illumination? Why the word illumination? So I think it is something to do with the fact that clairvoyantly the soul, the higher soul, is just pure light. Sometimes in your meditations you may have experienced that blinding light, or you may have experienced that your body is disappearing and it is being replaced by light, or that you are melting and just becoming light, something like that. I hope you have had some experience like that. Why is it like that? Because at that time you are having a high degree of oneness with the higher soul. और वो हायर सोल जो है, दैट इज इट्स इसेंशियली जस्ट प्योर लाइट, नॉट आवर नॉर्मल फिजिकल लाइट, बट प्योर spiritual light or non-material light. So when we say illumination, or he is the illuminated one, or this person is highly illuminated, what we are saying is that person has a very high degree of oneness with the higher soul. Yeah. Now the time factor may, it can be a few years or it can be a lifetime. So you may think, oh, a few years, lifetime, few years, okay, maybe I have that much patience, but a lifetime. So then master is explaining that, look, this is serious business. एक lifetime में कर लो तो it's a great thing. It's not a small thing. It's not a minor achievement. All right, let's go on. The yoga of knowledge and understanding also requires physical purification and inner purification, character building. Without physical purification, the body may become sick. Without inner purification, the meditator may become psychologically imbalanced. It is also important to generate good karma by doing service and tithing in order to offset one's ancient negative karma. So, a little bit of a break applied. If you thought, okay, from tomorrow I will just read this book every day and in 5 years I will attain moksha, well, thoda sa, small speed breaker. You also need to do character development or purification. Physical purification. Physical purification, not so hard. Be careful of your diet, do physical exercises, take care of your physical body. Not hard, not so difficult. But the more difficult, more important thing is inner purification. So character development. Now my advice is just learn Arhatic yoga preparatory level and just practice that. उसके अंदर ये सब everything comes in. Even if you haven't done Arhatic yoga in the basic course, and in the book that you got in the basic course, the Ancient Science and Art or Miracles Through Pranic Healing, the last part of the book explains a simple method of character development called inner reflection from resolution. It sounds very simple, but it's extremely potent. You just have to do it for some time and you will see yourself how you change. When I say you change, what it means is your behavior, your thinking thought pattern, your inner programs, your patterns of thinking and behavior, they will start changing. And karma gets involved also. You see, what we have just understood is your spiritual progress becomes accelerated. तो आप सोचिए कि जब आपने when you were born in this lifetime, there was a certain amount of spiritual development planned for you, and correspondingly a certain amount of karma to be worked out, right? But now you are accelerating. You are saying instead of this much spiritual development, I am going to do this much. So what I would have done in 5 lifetimes, I will do in one lifetime. So the correspondingly, the amount of karma you will work out is also multiplied. So it can become a lot. तो आपको मास्टर ने अगेन बेसिक प्राणिक हीलिंग बुक एक्सीलेंट एक्सप्लेनेशन मास्टर इज गिवन हाउ टू न्यूट्रलाइज योर कर्मा है ना अगेन टू थिंग्स सर्विस एंड टाइथिंग वो करिए जिससे कि योर स्पीड ब्रेकर्स डोंट रियली disturb your speed. The original title of the book was called Spiritual Findings. Through many years of study, Arhatic yoga experiments, inner experiences, the use of mental, intuitive, and higher intelligence, and inner transmissions, many important spiritual findings can be concluded. I'll read the remaining portion also, they are closely related. The title was changed to The Existence of God is Self-Evident, since this is one of the most important spiritual findings. So this portion or this book, this what master has talked about in the entire book. Master was going to give the title Spiritual Findings because this is his spiritual thesis. This is all the, he's described what all he has done through the years of study, erratic yoga experiments, inner experience, etc., etc. What all knowledge he gained, what all wisdom he acquired. And really, again, I would request, please also read Master's autobiography. There he has explained, all the terms that he's used here, intuitive and higher intelligence, inner transmission, all that he has explained. And he's gone into details. तो वहां पे आप पढ़ेंगे देन यू विल अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट ही इज डन बट बेसिकली अगर हिंदी में बोलूं आध्यात्मिक खोज मास्टर की जो सारी आध्यात्मिक खोज ऑल स्पिरिचुअल फाइंडिंग्स आर व्हाट वी विल रीड इन दिस बुक या So then Master changed the title to what it is now because this is one of the most important spiritual findings. That's what he has explained. This inner transmission, I have actually seen this happen. One time in one event, the event was to be concluded at 5 o'clock. And then Master came on stage. He was there, supposed to come for 15 minutes, and he was supposed to talk about, just give thanks to everybody. Thank you for having come here. It was a 2-3 day event, and he was supposed to just close the event. But as it so happened, he said, okay, what is there any question? And somebody said, Master, can you talk about the Bhagavad Gita? And from 5 o'clock till 9 o'clock, Master talked non-stop about the Bhagavad Gita. And he said repeatedly during that lecture, he said, my Guru is talking through me. I have not read the Bhagavad Gita. So, at that time, he was just becoming a channel for his Guruji to deliver. So it was it was a example of inner transmission where the person is telling me us that I have not read the Bhagavad Gita, but chapter by chapter, he gave us a summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita in energy terms. So which is kind of unique, and it's. I haven't seen any other energy healer or energy master describing the Bhagavad Gita in terms of energy, but that's what master did. So all these things are real. They are not, and they are not. How should I put it? मतलब ये कोई मन गढ़ंत या कोई तिलस्मी चीजें far of, away from our reach. They are not like that. They are all around us. So Master concludes the chapter with God's blessings be with you in your search for spiritual truths. So may I request, let's just start by, or let's end today by giving a little homage to Master. There's a mantra, Om Namo Paramatma Gurudeva Om. Will you chant with me, please? Just think of, visualize Master Choa in front of you. Let's do this together. ॐ नमो परमात्मा गुरुदेवा ॐ नमो परमात्मा गुरुदेवा ॐ नमो परमात्मा गुरुदेवा